Sector, sector, meaning an area or portion that is distinct from others. An area or portion that is distinct from others. Salaries in the public sector are expected to fall by 15% this year. Salaries in the public sector are expected to fall by 15% this year. Available, available, meaning able to be used or obtained at someone's disposal. Able to be used or obtained at someone's disposal. The offer is only available for a limited period. The offer is only available for a limited period. Financial, financial, meaning relating to finance, relating to finance. I really need to get some basic financial advice. I really need to get some basic financial advice. Process, process, meaning a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. A series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. We are using a new process to make butter. We are using a new process to make butter. Individual, individual, meaning single, separate, single, separate. We interviewed each individual member of the community. We interviewed each individual member of the community. Specific, specific, meaning clearly defined or identified. Clearly defined or identified. You have to be more specific than that. You have to be more specific than that. Principle, principle, meaning a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. A fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. He applies this principle to everything in life. He applies this principle to everything in life. Estimate, estimate, meaning roughly calculate or judge the value, number, quantity, or extent of. Roughly calculate or judge the value, number, quantity, or extent of. I estimate that we'll need 2 days to finish the work. I estimate that we'll need 2 days to finish the work. Variable, variable, meaning an element, feature, or factor that is liable to vary or change. an element, feature, or factor that is liable to vary or change. The quality of the hotel food is distinctly variable. The quality of the hotel food is distinctly variable. Method. Method. Meaning: a particular procedure for accomplishing or approaching something, especially a systematic or established one. A particular procedure for accomplishing or approaching something, especially a systematic or established one. Which method is likely to produce the best results? Which method is likely to produce the best results? Data. Data. Meaning: facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. Facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. The data was collected by various researchers. The data was collected by various researchers. Research. Research. Meaning: the systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. The systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. He did research on group dynamics and leadership styles. He did research on group dynamics and leadership styles. Contract. Contract. Meaning: a written or spoken agreement, especially one concerning employment, sales, or tenancy, that is intended to be enforceable by law. A written or spoken agreement, especially one concerning employment, sales, or tenancy, that is intended to be enforceable by law. Read the contract carefully before you sign it. Read the contract carefully before you sign it. Environment. Environment. Meaning: the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. The surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. We must create a safe environment for our children. We must create a safe environment for our children. Export. Export. Meaning: send goods or services to another country for sale. Send goods or services to another country for sale. We now export all kinds of industrial products. We now export all kinds of industrial products. Source. Source. Meaning: a place, person, or thing from which something originates or can be obtained. A place, person, or thing from which something originates or can be obtained. The source of the fire is unknown. The source of the fire is unknown. Assessment. Assessment. Meaning, the action of assessing someone or something. The action of assessing someone or something. What is your assessment of the situation? What is your assessment of the situation? Policy. Policy. Meaning, a source or principle of action adopted or proposed by an organization or individual. A course or principle of action adopted or proposed by an organization or individual. The company has adopted a firm policy on shoplifting. The company has adopted a firm policy on shoplifting. Identify. Identify. Meaning, establish or indicate who or what someone or something is. Establish or indicate who or what someone or something is. Can you identify which coat is yours? Can you identify which coat is yours? Create. Create. Meaning, bring something into existence. Bring something into existence. The best way to predict the future is to create it yourself. The best way to predict the future is to create it yourself. Derive. Derive. Meaning, obtain something from a specified source. Obtain something from a specified source. Some people derive pleasure from watching horror movies. Some people derive pleasure from watching horror movies. Factor. Factor. Meaning, a circumstance, fact, or influence that contributes to a result. A circumstance, fact, or influence that contributes to a result. Heavy snow was a contributing factor in the accident. Heavy snow was a contributing factor in the accident. Procedure. Procedure. Meaning, an established or official way of doing something. An established or official way of doing something. There is a set procedure for making formal complaints. There is a set procedure for making formal complaints. Definition. Definition. Meaning, the act of defining or of making something definite, distinct, or clear. The act of defining or of making something definite, distinct, or clear. What is your definition of happiness? What is your definition of happiness? Assume. Assume. Meaning: suppose to be the case, without proof. Suppose to be the case, without proof. I assume you have a car. I assume you have a car. Theory. Theory. Meaning: a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. A supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. We found further scientific evidence for this theory. We found further scientific evidence for this theory. Benefit. Benefit. Meaning: an advantage or profit gained from something. An advantage or profit gained from something. The creation of new playgrounds will benefit the local children. The creation of new playgrounds will benefit the local children. Evidence. Evidence. Meaning: the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. The available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. Is there any evidence that supports his position? Is there any evidence that supports his position? Established. Established. Meaning: having existed or done something for a long time and therefore recognized and generally accepted. Having existed or done something for a long time and therefore recognized and generally accepted. I have established a good working relationship with my boss. I have established a good working relationship with my boss. Authority. Authority. Meaning: the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. The power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. He plans to delegate more authority to his employees. He plans to delegate more authority to his employees. Major. Major. Meaning: important, serious, or significant. Important, serious, or significant. Leaving home was a major event in his life. Leaving home was a major event in his life. Issue. Issue. Meaning: an important topic or problem for debate or discussion. An important topic or problem for debate or discussion. They have opposite views on the issue. They have opposite views on the issue. Labour. Labour, meaning work, especially physical work. Work, especially physical work. The price will include the labour and materials. The price will include the labour and materials. Occur. Occur, meaning happen, take place. Happen, take place. It may occur at any moment. It may occur at any moment. Economic. Economic, meaning relating to economics or the economy. Relating to economics or the economy. The country is facing great economic difficulties. The country is facing great economic difficulties. Involved. Involved, meaning difficult to understand, complicated. Difficult to understand, complicated. She had no comprehension of what was involved. She had no comprehension of what was involved. Percent. Percent, meaning 1 part in every 100. 1 part in every 100. Sales were 5% lower than predicted. Sales were 5% lower than predicted. Interpretation. Interpretation, meaning the action of explaining the meaning of something. The action of explaining the meaning of something. The rules are vague and open to interpretation. The rules are vague and open to interpretation. Consistent. Consistent, meaning acting or done in the same way over time, especially so as to be fair or accurate. Acting or done in the same way over time, especially so as to be fair or accurate. We need results that are consistent throughout the year. We need results that are consistent throughout the year. Income. Income, meaning money received, especially on a regular basis for work or through investments. Money received, especially on a regular basis for work or through investments. His large income enabled him to live in comfort. His large income enabled him to live in comfort. Structure. Structure, meaning the arrangement of and relations between the parts or elements of something complex. The arrangement of and relations between the parts or elements of something complex. A flower has quite a complicated structure. A flower has quite a complicated structure. Legal. Legal. Meaning: relating to the law. Relating to the law. He made legal history when he won the case. He made legal history when he won the case. Concept. Concept. Meaning: a principle or idea. A principle or idea. I really like the concept of this website. I really like the concept of this website. Formula. Formula. Meaning: a mathematical relationship or rule expressed in symbols. A mathematical relationship or rule expressed in symbols. What's the formula for converting pounds into kilos? What's the formula for converting pounds into kilos? Section. Section. Meaning: any of the more or less distinct parts into which something is or may be divided, or from which it is made up. Any of the more or less distinct parts into which something is or may be divided, or from which it is made up. That section of the road is still closed. That section of the road is still closed. Required. Required. Meaning: officially compulsory or otherwise considered essential, indispensable. Officially compulsory or otherwise considered essential, indispensable. All students are required to take this examination. All students are required to take this examination. Constitutional. Constitutional. Meaning: relating to an established set of principles governing a state. Relating to an established set of principles governing a state. Freedom of speech is a constitutional right that Americans have. Freedom of speech is a constitutional right that Americans have. Analysis. Analysis. Meaning: detailed examination of the elements or structure of something. Detailed examination of the elements or structure of something. Your analysis of the situation is accurate. Your analysis of the situation is accurate. Distribution. Distribution. Meaning: the action of sharing something out among a number of recipients. The action of sharing something out among a number of recipients. The distribution of passports has been a slow process. The distribution of passports has been a slow process. Function. Function. Meaning: an activity that is natural to or the purpose of a person or thing. An activity that is natural to or the purpose of a person or thing. You can't function properly when you're deprived of sleep. You can't function properly when you're deprived of sleep. Area. Area. Meaning: a region or part of a town, a country, or the world. A region or part of a town, a country, or the world. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty. Approach. Approach. Meaning: come near or nearer to someone or something in distance or time. Come near or nearer to someone or something in distance or time. We must approach the problem from a different standpoint. We must approach the problem from a different standpoint. Role. Role. Meaning: the function assumed or part played by a person or thing in a particular situation. The function assumed or part played by a person or thing in a particular situation. Money played an important role in his life. Money played an important role in his life. Legislation. Legislation. Meaning: laws considered collectively. Laws considered collectively. This is a very important piece of legislation. This is a very important piece of legislation. Indicate. Indicate. Meaning: point out, show. Point out, show. Please indicate what action you will take. Please indicate what action you will take. Response. Response. Meaning: a verbal or written answer. A verbal or written answer. I've had no response to my letter. I've had no response to my letter. Period. Period. Meaning: a length or portion of time. A length or portion of time. The normal repayment period is 5 years. The normal repayment period is 5 years. Context. Context. Meaning: the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood. The circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood. It depends largely on the context. It depends largely on the context. Significant. Significant. Meaning: sufficiently great or important to be worthy of attention, noteworthy. Sufficiently great or important to be worthy of attention, noteworthy. She has made a significant decision. She has made a significant decision. Similar. Similar. Meaning: having a resemblance in appearance, character, or quantity without being identical. Having a resemblance in appearance, character, or quantity without being identical. Your opinion is similar to mine. Your opinion is similar to mine. Community. Community. Meaning: a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. A group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. She did it for the good of the community. She did it for the good of the community. Resident. Resident. Meaning: a person who lives somewhere permanently or on a long-term basis. A person who lives somewhere permanently or on a long-term basis. A local resident noticed a strange car drive up my road. A local resident noticed a strange car drive up my road. Construction. Construction. Meaning: the action of building something, typically a large structure. The action of building something, typically a large structure. Our new offices are still under construction. Our new offices are still under construction. Strategy. Strategy. Meaning: a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. A plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. This strategy could cause more problems than it solves. This strategy could cause more problems than it solves. Element. Element. Meaning: an essential or characteristic part of something abstract. An essential or characteristic part of something abstract. We'll have the element of surprise on our side. We'll have the element of surprise on our side. Previous. Previous. Meaning: existing or occurring before in time or order. Existing or occurring before in time or order. The furniture had been left by the previous occupants. The furniture had been left by the previous occupants. Conclusion. Conclusion. Meaning: the end or finish of an event, process, or text. The end or finish of an event, process, or text. The reasoning behind her conclusion is impossible to fault. The reasoning behind her conclusion is impossible to fault. Security. Security. Meaning: the state of being free from danger or threat. The state of being free from danger or threat. Management need to explore ways of improving office security. Management need to explore ways of improving office security. Aspect. Aspect. Meaning: a particular part or feature of something. A particular part or feature of something. The training program covers every aspect of the job. The training program covers every aspect of the job. Acquisition. Acquisition. Meaning: an asset or object bought or obtained, typically by a library or museum. An asset or object bought or obtained, typically by a library or museum. This is the latest acquisition to my library. This is the latest acquisition to my library. Feature. Feature. Meaning: a distinctive attribute or aspect of something. A distinctive attribute or aspect of something. An interesting feature of the city is the old market. An interesting feature of the city is the old market. Text. Text. Meaning: a book or other written or printed work regarded in terms of its content rather than its physical form. A book or other written or printed work regarded in terms of its content rather than its physical form. Make any necessary corrections before the text is printed. Make any necessary corrections before the text is printed. Regulation. Regulation. Meaning: a rule or directive made and maintained by an authority. A rule or directive made and maintained by an authority. There is a regulation that large trucks must not use this road. There is a regulation that large trucks must not use this road. Computer. Computer. Meaning: an electronic device for storing and processing data, typically in binary form, according to instructions given to it in a variable program. An electronic device for storing and processing data, typically in binary form, according to instructions given to it in a variable program. We're paying for the computer by monthly installments. We're paying for the computer by monthly installments. Item. Item. Meaning: an individual article or unit, especially one that is part of a list, collection, or set. An individual article or unit, especially one that is part of a list, collection, or set. Can I pay for each item separately? Can I pay for each item separately? Consumer. Consumer. Meaning: a person who purchases goods and services for personal use. A person who purchases goods and services for personal use. We need more feedback from the consumer in order to improve our goods. We need more feedback from the consumer in order to improve our goods. Achieve. Achieve. Meaning: successfully bring about or reach a desired objective or result by effort, skill, or courage. Successfully bring about or reach a desired objective or result by effort, skill, or courage. Teamwork is required in order to achieve these aims. Teamwork is required in order to achieve these aims. Final. Final. Meaning: coming at the end of a series. Coming at the end of a series. Please pay the final invoice within 2 weeks. Please pay the final invoice within 2 weeks. Positive. Positive. Meaning: constructive, optimistic, or confident. Constructive, optimistic, or confident. I'm positive you won't be refused. I'm positive you won't be refused. Evaluation. Evaluation. Meaning: the making of a judgment about the amount, number, or value of something. Assessment. The making of a judgment about the amount, number, or value of something. Assessment. Your first evaluation will be 6 months after you commence employment. Your first evaluation will be 6 months after you commence employment. Assistance. Assistance. Meaning: the action of helping someone by sharing work. The action of helping someone by sharing work. Can I be of any assistance to you? Can I be of any assistance to you? Normal, normal, meaning conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. Conforming to a standard, usual, typical, or expected. It's perfectly normal to be nervous before a performance. It's perfectly normal to be nervous before a performance. Relevant, relevant, meaning closely connected or appropriate to what is being done or considered. Closely connected or appropriate to what is being done or considered. Send me all the relevant information. Send me all the relevant information. Distinction, distinction, meaning a difference or contrast between similar things or people. A difference or contrast between similar things or people. There is often no clear distinction between an allergy and food intolerance. There is often no clear distinction between an allergy and food intolerance. Region, region, meaning an area, especially part of a country or the world, having definable characteristics but not always fixed boundaries. An area, especially part of a country or the world, having definable characteristics but not always fixed boundaries. This region has a great sporting tradition. This region has a great sporting tradition. Traditional, traditional, meaning existing in or as part of a tradition, long established. Existing in or as part of a tradition, long established. In some countries, it is traditional for a bride to wear white. In some countries, it is traditional for a bride to wear white. Impact, impact, meaning a marked effect or influence. A marked effect or influence. Stress can have an enormous negative impact on your health. Stress can have an enormous negative impact on your health. Consequence, consequence, meaning a result or effect, typically one that is unwelcome or unpleasant. A result or effect, typically one that is unwelcome or unpleasant. Hundreds of people lost their jobs as a direct consequence of the merger. Hundreds of people lost their jobs as a direct consequence of the merger. Chapter, chapter, meaning A main division of a book, typically with a number or title. A main division of a book, typically with a number or title. Please read on to the end of the chapter. Please read on to the end of the chapter. Equation. Equation. Meaning: the process of equating one thing with another. The process of equating one thing with another. I didn't factor those variables into the equation. I didn't factor those variables into the equation. Appropriate. Appropriate. Meaning: suitable or proper in the circumstances. Suitable or proper in the circumstances. These clothes are not appropriate for a cold winter day. These clothes are not appropriate for a cold winter day. Resource. Resource. Meaning: a stock or supply of money, materials, staff, and other assets that can be drawn on by a person or organization in order to function effectively. A stock or supply of money, materials, staff, and other assets that can be drawn on by a person or organization in order to function effectively. Water is becoming an increasingly precious resource. Water is becoming an increasingly precious resource. Participation. Participation. Meaning: the action of taking part in something. The action of taking part in something. Some of the magic tricks called for audience participation. Some of the magic tricks called for audience participation. Survey. Survey. Meaning: look closely at or examine someone or something. Look closely at or examine someone or something. He ordered them to survey population growth. He ordered them to survey population growth. Potential. Potential. Meaning: having or showing the capacity to develop into something in the future. Having or showing the capacity to develop into something in the future. You aren't using your computer to its full potential. You aren't using your computer to its full potential. Cultural. Cultural. Meaning: relating to the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a society. Relating to the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a society. It is very important to consider the cultural background of the family. It is very important to consider the cultural background of the family. Transfer. Transfer. Meaning, move from one place to another. Move from one place to another. They will transfer those books into the new library. They will transfer those books into the new library. Select. Select. Meaning, carefully choose as being the best or most suitable. Carefully choose as being the best or most suitable. Come and help me select a good place for our camp. Come and help me select a good place for our camp. Effect. Effect. Meaning, having an effect on, make a difference to. Have an effect on, make a difference to. Climate and weather affect every aspect of our lives. Climate and weather affect every aspect of our lives. Category. Category. Meaning, a class or division of people or things regarded as having particular shared characteristics. A class or division of people or things regarded as having particular shared characteristics. This doesn't fit into any category. This doesn't fit into any category. Perceive. Perceive. Meaning, become aware or conscious of something, come to realize or understand. Become aware or conscious of something, come to realize or understand. He could not perceive any difference between the twins. He could not perceive any difference between the twins. Sort. Sort. Meaning, attempt to find something. Attempt to find something. We sought long and hard, but found no answer. We sought long and hard, but found no answer. Focus. Focus. Meaning, the center of interest or activity. The center of interest or activity. He felt he needed to focus more on his career. He felt he needed to focus more on his career. Purchase. Purchase. Meaning, acquire something by paying for it. Buy. Acquire something by paying for it. Buy. It was decided the school should purchase new software. It was decided the school should purchase new software. Injury. Injury. Meaning, an instance of being injured. An instance of being injured. He is recovering from a knee injury. He is recovering from a knee injury. Site, site, meaning an area of ground on which a town, building, or monument is constructed. An area of ground on which a town, building, or monument is constructed. This site is ideal for our house. This site is ideal for our house. Journal, journal, meaning a daily record of news and events of a personal nature, a diary. A daily record of news and events of a personal nature, a diary. He kept a journal during his visit to Japan. He kept a journal during his visit to Japan. Complex, complex, meaning consisting of many different and connected parts. Consisting of many different and connected parts. A computer is a complex machine. A computer is a complex machine. Institute, institute, meaning an organization having a particular purpose, especially one that is involved with science, education, or a specific profession. An organization having a particular purpose, especially one that is involved with science, education, or a specific profession. The institute holds evening classes throughout the year. The institute holds evening classes throughout the year. Investment, investment, meaning the action or process of investing money for profit. The action or process of investing money for profit. Expansion was made possible by the investment of government money. Expansion was made possible by the investment of government money. Administration, administration, meaning the process or activity of running a business or organization. The process or activity of running a business or organization. He works in hospital administration. He works in hospital administration. Maintenance, maintenance, meaning the process of preserving a condition or situation or the state of being preserved. The process of preserving a condition or situation or the state of being preserved. We carry out routine maintenance of the equipment. We carry out routine maintenance of the equipment. Design, design, meaning a plan or drawing produced to show the look and function or workings of a building, garment, or other object before it is made. A plan or drawing produced to show the look and function or workings of a building, garment, or other object before it is made. I would like to design a new website for you. I would like to design a new website for you. Obtain, obtain, meaning get, acquire, or secure something. Get, acquire, or secure something. The police were able to obtain a set of fingerprints from the suspect. The police were able to obtain a set of fingerprints from the suspect. Restricted, restricted, meaning limited in extent, number, scope, or action. Limited in extent, number, scope, or action. Membership of the club is restricted to adults. Membership of the club is restricted to adults. Conduct, conduct, meaning the manner in which a person behaves, especially in a particular place or situation. The manner in which a person behaves, especially in a particular place or situation. I am ashamed of my son's conduct. I am ashamed of my son's conduct. Proportion, proportion, meaning a part, share, or number considered in comparative relation to a whole. A part, share, or number considered in comparative relation to a whole. A proportion of the land is used for agriculture. A proportion of the land is used for agriculture. Reliance, reliance, meaning dependence on or trust in someone or something. Dependence on or trust in someone or something. Don't place too much reliance on his advice. Don't place too much reliance on his advice. Comment, comment, meaning a verbal or written remark expressing an opinion or reaction. A verbal or written remark expressing an opinion or reaction. I feel unqualified to comment on the subject. I feel unqualified to comment on the subject. Publish, publish, meaning prepare and issue a book, journal, piece of music for public sale, distribution, or readership. Prepare and issue a book, journal, piece of music for public sale, distribution, or readership. The newspaper refused to publish the letter. The newspaper refused to publish the letter. Framework, framework, meaning an essential supporting structure of a building, vehicle, or object. An essential supporting structure of a building, vehicle, or object. The bridge over the river has a steel framework. The bridge over the river has a steel framework. Imply. Imply. Meaning: indicate the truth or existence of something by suggestion rather than explicit reference. Indicate the truth or existence of something by suggestion rather than explicit reference. What do you imply by that statement? What do you imply by that statement? Dominant. Dominant. Meaning: having power and influence over others. Having power and influence over others. She was the dominant partner in the relationship. She was the dominant partner in the relationship. Constant. Constant. Meaning: occurring continuously over a period of time. Occurring continuously over a period of time. He was in constant physical pain. He was in constant physical pain. Shift. Shift. Meaning: move or cause to move from one place to another, especially over a small distance. Move or cause to move from one place to another, especially over a small distance. Could you help me shift some furniture? Could you help me shift some furniture? Deduction. Deduction. Meaning: the action of deducting or subtracting something. The action of deducting or subtracting something. No deduction in pay is made for absence due to illness. No deduction in pay is made for absence due to illness. Ensure. Ensure. Meaning: make certain that something will occur or be the case. Make certain that something will occur or be the case. The price is low to ensure a quick sale. The price is low to ensure a quick sale. Specify. Specify. Meaning: identify clearly and definitely. Identify clearly and definitely. Remember to specify your size when ordering clothes. Remember to specify your size when ordering clothes. Justification. Justification. Meaning: the action of showing something to be right or reasonable. The action of showing something to be right or reasonable. She's unable to provide any justification for her actions. She's unable to provide any justification for her actions. Fund. Fund, meaning a sum of money saved or made available for a particular purpose. A sum of money saved or made available for a particular purpose. The hospital has set up a special fund to buy new equipment. The hospital has set up a special fund to buy new equipment. Physical. Physical, meaning relating to the body as opposed to the mind. Relating to the body as opposed to the mind. Muscles contract and relax during physical activity. Muscles contract and relax during physical activity. Partnership. Partnership, meaning an association of two or more people as partners. An association of two or more people as partners. Mutual respect is necessary for any partnership to work. Mutual respect is necessary for any partnership to work. Location. Location, meaning a particular place or position. A particular place or position. The location of the hotel is sublime. The location of the hotel is sublime. Link. Link, meaning a relationship between two things or situations, especially where one affects the other. A relationship between two things or situations, especially where one affects the other. There's a direct link between diet and heart disease. There's a direct link between diet and heart disease. Coordination. Coordination, meaning the ability to use different parts of the body together smoothly and efficiently. The ability to use different parts of the body together smoothly and efficiently. Too much alcohol affects your coordination. Too much alcohol affects your coordination. Alternative. Alternative, meaning of one or more things available as another possibility or choice. As one or more things available as another possibility or choice. It may be necessary to make alternative arrangements. It may be necessary to make alternative arrangements. Initial. Initial, meaning existing or occurring at the beginning. Existing or occurring at the beginning. The initial response has been encouraging. The initial response has been encouraging. Task. Task. Meaning, a piece of work to be done or undertaken. A piece of work to be done or undertaken. I have to finish the task ahead of time. I have to finish the task ahead of time. Technique. Technique. Meaning, a way of carrying out a particular task, especially the execution or performance of an artistic work or a scientific procedure. A way of carrying out a particular task, especially the execution or performance of an artistic work or a scientific procedure. What is it that makes this technique superior? What is it that makes this technique superior? Exclude. Exclude. Meaning, deny someone access to a place, group, or privilege. Deny someone access to a place, group, or privilege. She gets very upset if I exclude her from anything. She gets very upset if I exclude her from anything. Consent. Consent. Meaning, permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. Permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. He took the car without the owner's consent. He took the car without the owner's consent. Demonstrate. Demonstrate. Meaning, give a practical expedition and explanation of how a machine, skill, or craft works or is performed. Give a practical expedition and explanation of how a machine, skill, or craft works or is performed. My assistant will now demonstrate the machine in action. My assistant will now demonstrate the machine in action. Reaction. Reaction. Meaning, something done, felt, or thought in response to a situation or event. Something done, felt, or thought in response to a situation or event. I was unsure of the reaction I would get. I was unsure of the reaction I would get. Minority. Minority. Meaning, the smaller number or part, especially a number or part representing less than half of the whole. The smaller number or part, especially a number or part representing less than half of the whole. It's only a tiny minority of people who are causing the problem. It's only a tiny minority of people who are causing the problem. Remove, remove, meaning take something away or off from the position occupied. Take something away or off from the position occupied. Will you please remove your handbag from the seat? Will you please remove your handbag from the seat? Compensation, compensation, meaning something, typically money, awarded to someone in recognition of loss, suffering, or injury. Something, typically money, awarded to someone in recognition of loss, suffering, or injury. The company was not required to pay a fine or compensation. The company was not required to pay a fine or compensation. Sequence, sequence, meaning a particular order in which related things follow each other. A particular order in which related things follow each other. The questions should be asked in a logical sequence. The questions should be asked in a logical sequence. Corresponding, corresponding, meaning similar to, connected with or caused by something else. Similar to, connected with or caused by something else. Sales are up 10% on the corresponding period last year. Sales are up 10% on the corresponding period last year. Maximum, maximum, meaning the greatest amount, extent, or intensity possible, permitted or recorded. The greatest amount, extent, or intensity possible, permitted or recorded. The maximum load for this elevator is 8 persons. The maximum load for this elevator is 8 persons. Circumstance, circumstance, meaning a fact or condition connected with or relevant to an event or action. A fact or condition connected with or relevant to an event or action. I know I can trust her in any circumstance. I know I can trust her in any circumstance. Instance, instance, meaning an example or single occurrence of something. An example or single occurrence of something. In this instance, I think she was mistaken. In this instance, I think she was mistaken. Considerable, considerable, meaning notably large in size, amount, or extent. notably large in size, amount, or extent. We've saved a considerable amount of money. We've saved a considerable amount of money. Sufficient. Sufficient. Meaning enough, adequate. Enough, adequate. We have gained sufficient experience to tackle this problem. We have gained sufficient experience to tackle this problem. Corporate. Corporate. Meaning relating to a large company or group. Relating to a large company or group. The hotel is used for corporate entertaining. The hotel is used for corporate entertaining. Interaction. Interaction. Meaning an occasion when two or more people or things communicate with or react to each other. An occasion when two or more people or things communicate with or react to each other. The interaction of the two groups produced many good ideas. The interaction of the two groups produced many good ideas. Contribution. Contribution. Meaning a gift or payment to a common fund or collection. A gift or payment to a common fund or collection. We made a contribution to the Famine Relief Fund. We made a contribution to the Famine Relief Fund. Component. Component. Meaning a part that combines with other parts to form something bigger. A part that combines with other parts to form something bigger. Each component needs to be checked before leaving the factory. Each component needs to be checked before leaving the factory. Constraint. Constraint. Meaning a limitation or restriction. A limitation or restriction. At last we could relax and talk without constraint. At last we could relax and talk without constraint. Technical. Technical. Meaning relating to a particular subject, art, craft, or its techniques. Relating to a particular subject, art, craft, or its techniques. Relating to a particular subject, art, craft, or its techniques. The article is rather technical in places. The article is rather technical in places. Emphasis. Emphasis. Meaning the particular importance or attention that is given to something. the particular importance or attention that is given to something. The course places emphasis on practical work. The course places emphasis on practical work. Layer, layer, meaning a sheet, quantity, or thickness of material, typically one of several, covering a surface or body. A sheet, quantity, or thickness of material, typically one of several, covering a surface or body. Everything was covered with a fine layer of dust. Everything was covered with a fine layer of dust. Document, document, meaning a piece of written, printed, or electronic matter that provides information or evidence or that serves as an official record. A piece of written, printed, or electronic matter that provides information or evidence or that serves as an official record. He signed and sealed the document. He signed and sealed the document. Register, register, meaning an official list or record of names or items. An official list or record of names or items. The teacher kept a register of the names of the children. The teacher kept a register of the names of the children. Overall, overall, meaning taking everything into account. Taking everything into account. It's all part of an overall strategy to gain promotion. It's all part of an overall strategy to gain promotion. Emerge, emerge, meaning move out of or away from something and become visible. Move out of or away from something and become visible. Several facts started to emerge from my investigation. Several facts started to emerge from my investigation. Regime, regime, meaning a system or ordered way of doing things. A system or ordered way of doing things. Any good weight loss regime should not lead to extreme hunger. Any good weight loss regime should not lead to extreme hunger. Implementation, implementation, meaning the process of putting a decision or plan into effect. Execution, the process of putting a decision or plan into effect. Execution. There is a 10-year time frame for the implementation of the new policies. There is a 10-year time frame for the implementation of the new policies. Project. Project. Meaning: an individual or collaborative enterprise that is carefully planned to achieve a particular aim. An individual or collaborative enterprise that is carefully planned to achieve a particular aim. He gained valuable experience whilst working on the project. He gained valuable experience whilst working on the project. Hence. Hence. Meaning: as a consequence, for this reason. As a consequence, for this reason. I fell off my bike yesterday, hence the bruises. I fell off my bike yesterday, hence the bruises. Occupational. Occupational. Meaning: relating to a job or profession. Relating to a job or profession. Getting injured is an occupational hazard of the sport. Getting injured is an occupational hazard of the sport. Internal. Internal. Meaning: of or situated on the inside. Of or situated on the inside. The company encourages internal promotion. The company encourages internal promotion. Retain. Retain. Meaning: continue to have something, keep possession of. Continue to have something, keep possession of. It's increasingly difficult to recruit and retain good staff. It's increasingly difficult to recruit and retain good staff. Sum. Sum. Meaning: a particular amount of money. A particular amount of money. He owes me a large sum of money. He owes me a large sum of money. Mechanism. Mechanism. Meaning: a system of parts working together in a machine, a piece of machinery. A system of parts working together in a machine, a piece of machinery. The mechanism of the machine is very complicated. The mechanism of the machine is very complicated. Impose. Impose. Meaning: force an unwelcome decision or ruling on someone. Force an unwelcome decision or ruling on someone. We must impose some kind of order on the way this office is run. We must impose some kind of order on the way this office is run. Despite. Despite. meaning without being affected by, in spite of, without being affected by, in spite of. I still enjoyed the week despite the weather. I still enjoyed the week despite the weather. Approximate, approximate, meaning close to the actual but not completely accurate or exact. Close to the actual but not completely accurate or exact. Use these figures as an approximate guide in your calculations. Use these figures as an approximate guide in your calculations. Label, label, meaning a small piece of paper, fabric, plastic, or similar material attached to an object and giving information about it. A small piece of paper, fabric, plastic, or similar material attached to an object and giving information about it. Don't forget to attach the label to your luggage. Don't forget to attach the label to your luggage. Concentration, concentration, meaning the action or power of focusing all one's attention. The action or power of focusing all one's attention. Stress and tiredness affect your powers of concentration. Stress and tiredness affect your powers of concentration. Principle, principle, meaning first in order of importance, main. First in order of importance, main. Her principal objective was international fame as a scientist. Her principal objective was international fame as a scientist. Series, series, meaning a number of events, objects, or people of a similar or related kind coming one after another. A number of events, objects, or people of a similar or related kind coming one after another. The government was rocked by a series of scandals. The government was rocked by a series of scandals. Predict, predict, meaning say or estimate that a specified thing will happen in the future or will be a consequence of something. Say or estimate that a specified thing will happen in the future or will be a consequence of something. You can never predict what would happen next. You can never predict what would happen next. Summary, summary, meaning a brief statement or account of the main points of something. A brief statement or account of the main points of something. Can you give us a summary of what you are doing now? Can you give us a summary of what you are doing now? Attitude. Attitude. Meaning: a settled way of thinking or feeling about something. A settled way of thinking or feeling about something. I found her attitude totally unacceptable. I found her attitude totally unacceptable. Undertake. Undertake. Meaning: commit oneself to and begin an enterprise or responsibility. Take on. Commit oneself to and begin an enterprise or responsibility. Take on. Students are required to undertake simple experiments. Students are required to undertake simple experiments. Cycle. Cycle. Meaning: a series of events that are regularly repeated in the same order. A series of events that are regularly repeated in the same order. This cycle of events continually repeats itself. This cycle of events continually repeats itself. Communication. Communication. Meaning: the imparting or exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or using some other medium. The imparting or exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or using some other medium. Good communication is important for business. Good communication is important for business. Professional. Professional. Meaning: relating to or belonging to a profession. Relating to or belonging to a profession. I recommend that you get some professional advice. I recommend that you get some professional advice. Conference. Conference. Meaning: a formal meeting of people with a shared interest, typically one that takes place over several days. A formal meeting of people with a shared interest, typically one that takes place over several days. The association is having its annual conference next week. The association is having its annual conference next week. Attribute. Attribute. Meaning: regard something as being caused by. Regard something as being caused by. I attribute our success to him. I attribute our success to him. Annual. Annual. Meaning: Occurring once every year. Occurring once every year. The school trip has become an annual event. The school trip has become an annual event. Obvious. Obvious. Meaning easily perceived or understood, clear, self-evident or apparent. Easily perceived or understood, clear, self-evident or apparent. Lack of qualifications is an obvious disadvantage. Lack of qualifications is an obvious disadvantage. Error. Error. Meaning a mistake. A mistake. The accident was the result of human error. The accident was the result of human error. Implication. Implication. Meaning the conclusion that can be drawn from something, although it is not explicitly stated. The conclusion that can be drawn from something, although it is not explicitly stated. I resent the implication that I don't care about my job. I resent the implication that I don't care about my job. Apparent. Apparent. Meaning clearly visible or understood, obvious. Clearly visible or understood, obvious. It soon became apparent that no one was going to come. It soon became apparent that no one was going to come. Commitment. Commitment. Meaning the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or an activity. The state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or an activity. The hospital has a commitment to provide the best possible medical care. The hospital has a commitment to provide the best possible medical care. Subsequent. Subsequent. Meaning coming after something in time, following. Coming after something in time, following. The first and all subsequent visits were kept secret. The first and all subsequent visits were kept secret. Promote. Promote. Meaning support or actively encourage a cause or venture, further the progress of. Support or actively encourage a cause or venture, further the progress of. The band has gone on tour to promote their new album. The band has gone on tour to promote their new album. Option. Option. Meaning A thing that is or may be chosen. A thing that is or may be chosen. Personally, I prefer the second option. Personally, I prefer the second option. Output. Output. Meaning, the amount of something produced by a person, machine, or industry. The amount of something produced by a person, machine, or industry. The average output of the factory is 20 cars a day. The average output of the factory is 20 cars a day. Access. Access. Meaning, the means or opportunity to approach or enter a place. The means or opportunity to approach or enter a place. The software enables you to access the internet in seconds. The software enables you to access the internet in seconds. Prior. Prior. Meaning, existing or coming before in time, order, or importance. Existing or coming before in time, order, or importance. You do not need any prior knowledge of the subject. You do not need any prior knowledge of the subject. Adequate. Adequate. Meaning, satisfactory or acceptable in quality or quantity. Satisfactory or acceptable in quality or quantity. We cannot guarantee adequate supplies of raw materials. We cannot guarantee adequate supplies of raw materials. Alter. Alter. Meaning, change in character or composition, typically in a comparatively small but significant way. Change in character or composition, typically in a comparatively small but significant way. We've had to alter some of our plans. We've had to alter some of our plans. Stability. Stability. Meaning, the state of being stable. The state of being stable. These kids require a lot of structure and stability. These kids require a lot of structure and stability. Energy. Energy. Meaning, the strength and vitality required for sustained physical or mental activity. The strength and vitality required for sustained physical or mental activity. He felt cheerful and full of energy. He felt cheerful and full of energy. Aware. Aware. Meaning, having knowledge or perception of a situation or fact. Having knowledge or perception of a situation or fact. He doesn't seem to be aware of the problems. He doesn't seem to be aware of the problems. Draft. Draft. Meaning a preliminary version of a piece of writing. A preliminary version of a piece of writing. This is only the first draft of my speech. This is only the first draft of my speech. Style. Style. Meaning a particular procedure by which something is done, a manner or way. A particular procedure by which something is done, a manner or way. His style of singing is rather unique. His style of singing is rather unique. Precise. Precise. Meaning marked by exactness and accuracy of expression or detail. Marked by exactness and accuracy of expression or detail. She gave me clear and precise directions. She gave me clear and precise directions. Medical. Medical. Meaning relating to the science or practice of medicine. Relating to the science or practice of medicine. The insurance company wanted me to have a medical. The insurance company wanted me to have a medical. Pursue. Pursue. Meaning follow or chase someone or something. Follow or chase someone or something. He decided to pursue a career in television. He decided to pursue a career in television. Symbolic. Symbolic. Meaning serving as a symbol. Serving as a symbol. Each element of the ceremony has a symbolic meaning. Each element of the ceremony has a symbolic meaning. Capacity. Capacity. Meaning the maximum amount that something can contain. The maximum amount that something can contain. The theatre has a seating capacity of 2,000 people. The theatre has a seating capacity of 2,000 people. Generation. Generation. Meaning all of the people born and living at about the same time, regarded collectively. All of the people born and living at about the same time, regarded collectively. The older generation have a different set of values. The older generation have a different set of values. Exposure. Exposure. Meaning the state of having no protection from something harmful. The state of having no protection from something harmful. Even a brief exposure to radiation is very dangerous. Even a brief exposure to radiation is very dangerous. Decline. Decline. Meaning, typically of something regarded as good becomes smaller, fewer, or less. Decrease. Typically of something regarded as good becomes smaller, fewer, or less. Decrease. The company reported a small decline in its profits. The company reported a small decline in its profits. Modify. Modify. Meaning, make partial or minor changes to something. Make partial or minor changes to something. You may need to modify your plans a little. You may need to modify your plans a little. External. External. Meaning, belonging to or forming the outer surface or structure of something. Belonging to or forming the outer surface or structure of something. The external features of the building are very attractive. The external features of the building are very attractive. Fundamental. Fundamental. Meaning, forming a necessary base or core of central importance. Forming a necessary base or core of central importance. We have to tackle the fundamental cause of the problem. We have to tackle the fundamental cause of the problem. Adjustment. Adjustment. Meaning, a small alteration or movement made to achieve a desired fit, appearance, or result. A small alteration or movement made to achieve a desired fit, appearance, or result. The company's adjustment to the new markets has been successful. The company's adjustment to the new markets has been successful. Whereas. Whereas. Meaning, in contrast or comparison with the fact that. In contrast or comparison with the fact that. The old system was fairly complicated, whereas the new system is really very simple. The old system was fairly complicated, whereas the new system is really very simple. Enable. Enable. Meaning, give someone the authority or means to do something. Make it possible for. Give someone the authority or means to do something. Make it possible for. The new test should enable doctors to detect the disease early. The new test should enable doctors to detect the disease early. Version. Version. Meaning, A particular form of something differing in certain respects from an earlier form or other forms of the same type of thing. A particular form of something differing in certain respects from an earlier form or other forms of the same type of thing. His version of the accident seemed most convincing. His version of the accident seemed most convincing. Contact. Contact. Meaning: the action of communicating or meeting. The action of communicating or meeting. Please contact our agent in Spain for further information. Please contact our agent in Spain for further information. Network. Network. Meaning: a group or system of interconnected people or things. A group or system of interconnected people or things. The agency has a network of regional offices. The agency has a network of regional offices. Facilitate. Facilitate. Meaning: make an action or process easy or easier. Make an action or process easy or easier. The new ramp will facilitate the entry of wheelchairs. The new ramp will facilitate the entry of wheelchairs. Welfare. Welfare. Meaning: the health, happiness and fortunes of a person or group. The health, happiness and fortunes of a person or group. Parents are responsible for the welfare of their children. Parents are responsible for the welfare of their children. Transition. Transition. Meaning: the process or a period of changing from one state or condition to another. The process or a period of changing from one state or condition to another. The transition from school to work can be difficult. The transition from school to work can be difficult. Logic. Logic. Meaning: reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. Reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. I don't follow the logic of your argument. I don't follow the logic of your argument. Reject. Reject. Meaning: dismiss as inadequate, unacceptable, or faulty. Dismiss as inadequate, unacceptable, or faulty. He urged the committee to reject the plans. He urged the committee to reject the plans. Expansion. Expansion. Meaning: the action of becoming larger or more extensive. The action of becoming larger or more extensive. The company believes there is scope for expansion in this sector. The company believes there is scope for expansion in this sector. Objective. Objective. Meaning, a thing aimed at or sought, a goal. A thing aimed at or sought, a goal. His objective was to finish by October. His objective was to finish by October. Sustainable. Sustainable. Meaning, able to be maintained at a certain rate or level. Able to be maintained at a certain rate or level. That sort of extreme diet is not sustainable over a long period. That sort of extreme diet is not sustainable over a long period. Equivalent. Equivalent. Meaning, equal in value, amount, function, or meaning. Equal in value, amount, function, or meaning. This qualification is the equivalent of a degree. This qualification is the equivalent of a degree. Notion. Notion. Meaning, a conception of or belief about something. A conception of or belief about something. I have only a vague notion of what she does for a living. I have only a vague notion of what she does for a living. Generate. Generate. Meaning, produce or create. Produce or create. Building larger roads could generate more traffic. Building larger roads could generate more traffic. Trend. Trend. Meaning, a general direction in which something is developing or changing. A general direction in which something is developing or changing. Can anything be done to reverse this trend? Can anything be done to reverse this trend? Conflict. Conflict. Meaning, a serious disagreement or argument, typically a protracted one. A serious disagreement or argument, typically a protracted one. John often comes into conflict with his boss. John often comes into conflict with his boss. Discretion. Discretion. Meaning, the quality of behaving or speaking in such a way as to avoid causing offence or revealing confidential information. The quality of behaving or speaking in such a way as to avoid causing offence or revealing confidential information. Use the utmost discretion when you talk to her. Use the utmost discretion when you talk to her. Entity. Entity. Meaning: a thing with distinct and independent existence. A thing with distinct and independent existence. The two companies will combine to form a new entity. The two companies will combine to form a new entity. Consultation. Consultation. Meaning: the action or process of formally consulting or discussing. The action or process of formally consulting or discussing. A follow-up consultation was arranged for next week. A follow-up consultation was arranged for next week. Challenge. Challenge. Meaning: a call to someone to participate in a competitive situation or fight to decide who is superior in terms of ability or strength. A call to someone to participate in a competitive situation or fight to decide who is superior in terms of ability or strength. I was totally unprepared for the challenge which faced me. I was totally unprepared for the challenge which faced me.